All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Admissions Live, the weekly web show for college admissions professionals. We broadcast on the Higher Ed Live network, a product of EduVerse Media. EduUniverse Media. Tune into Admissions Live on Tuesday nights, 7 Eastern Time on higheredlive.com, and joining the conversation on Twitter using the Higher Ed Live hashtag. Hey, I am not Ashley Budd. Contrary to popular belief, I am your guest host, Chris Dorso. And last month, I had the incredible pleasure of spending 3 days in beautiful downtown Buffalo, New York at the annual HighEdWeb conference. And in just a moment, I will be chatting with Colleen, Berrett, and Berrett from Monroe Community College in Rochester, New York, who is president of the organization. We'll go into her in a second. And we're going to talk about admissions pros in a web professional role. First, I want to do a couple of quick shout-outs to our sponsors that make Admissions Live possible every week. Admissions Live is sponsored by mStoner, a marketing communications agency focused on higher education web strategy and development since 2001. mStoner is getting into the spirit by giving thanks to the higher education community. They're offering 3 webinars in November. The offers there at mstoner.com, keyword webinar. Admissions Live is also brought to you by Zinch. Zinch is a marketing service of Chegg, the leading connected student platform, serves about 30% of all college students and more than 40% of all college-bound seniors. Recruiting students with Zinch costs up to 90% less than traditional methods. Email outreach at zinch.com, or you can tweet them at @socialadmission today to learn how Zinch and Chegg can help your institution achieve your recruitment goals. Admissions Live is also sponsored by Welcome to College, where college visits are made simple. The mission at Welcome to College is to help students find colleges where they will flourish. The team at Welcome to College believes it's all in the visit, and they have created free web and mobile applications to plan, rate, share, and compare the entire college visit process. Parents and counselors can also create an account to share their impressions. So check out this brand new partners page at welcometocollege.com today. So with that, thanks again to all of our sponsors, and I want to introduce Colleen, Berrett, and Berrett, who is the Assistant Director for College and Community Relations at Monroe Community College, and she's also Vice President of the Higher Ed Web Professionals Association. For more than 15 years, Colleen has been a communicator, strategist, creator, storyteller, and supporter of good web stuff. Currently, the Assistant Director in Community Relations in charge of web communications at MCC. Colleen's areas of specialty include higher ed, project management, crisis communications, game theory, and recruitment marketing. Her work has won awards from organizations such as CASE, PRSA, and the American Marketing Association, and she has presented at leading higher education conferences, including HighEdWeb, of course, PSU Web, CASE, and the Council for Independent Colleges Media Conference. Colleen is the VP of the Higher Ed Web Professionals Association and also serves as the annual conference marketing and attendee relations chair. So with that, I'll introduce Colleen, Berrett, and Berrett.
Thanks, Chris. Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me on tonight. I appreciate it, and I'm excited to get to talk a little bit about HighEdWeb because, of course, I love it so. As do, I think, many of us. We have the best community ever, anywhere, and I think that was definitely one of the things we saw happening in Buffalo this year, is this fantastic community. More than 700 of us. Can you believe that? How big and wonderful our community has gotten? It's kind of mind-blowing how many professionals in our field come together for this now. It was just fantastic to be able to look out over the crowd and see all these folks who work in the web in so many different areas, from admissions to advancement and traditionally communications and IT, but every type of web pro you can imagine was there, and it was a great experience.
Yeah, really fantastic. It was my first HighEdWeb experience, having just sort of slid over to the web side of the admissions office, and that really goes into what we're sort of talking about tonight, about how admissions folks and web folks really need to work together even more than we probably already do. And it was really interesting to see how much interaction there really is between, we always talk about how siloed we are, and obviously there's a lot of truth to that, but the incredible interaction between departments and the incredible interaction between campuses. I think that's really interesting how on a practical level, I suppose we all sort of compete with each other, but there's so much wonderful sharing that happened at HighEdWeb that I think even more than I even expected, which was wonderful.
Yeah, isn't it? You know, that's one of the things that really drew me to the association in general. Is my very first HighEdWeb, which was a number of years ago now. I just remember I was new to the web profession. I was in a communications shop. My title, I think, was Web Content Coordinator or something along those lines. And I remember going to HighEdWeb and sitting, and I think it was Stephanie Leary, hi Steph, in one of her WordPress workshops. And I just remember going, well, how did you do that? Like, I don't understand how you did that. And she said, oh, no problem. Just give me your email and I'll send you the code. And I remember I just kind of went, I'm sorry, you're going to do what? Because I was coming from a corporate background, and
Right.
So to have this community who says, yeah, sure, no problem. You want my module? Here, I'll send it to you, no problem. Really convinced me almost immediately that that was just the community I wanted to be part of as a professional. So I'm really excited to hear that you sensed that still too.
Yes, absolutely. So so let's sort of recap, if you will, HighEdWeb 13. Now a month we've had a month out. We've had a time to process a little bit. What were the big highlights for you this year's conference?
Oh gosh, you know, I think really and truly for me, part of it was seeing 700 some odd people, professionals sitting together at all these tables, sharing ideas, sharing experiences. I mean, the chatter never died down, and so that's a highlight for me because, again, anytime we can bring that community together in that way, we're really active in Twitter, we're really active in Facebook, but it's a great experience to see people and to have kind of these ongoing conversations. That was a highlight. Certainly our keynote speakers, blown away. We were thrilled to have Steve Wozniak because, you know, he's Wozniak. A lot of us started programming, or our first computers were on, you know, were Apples of some kind, you know. I remember learning to code at computer camp when I was like 6 on an Apple IIe with a floppy disk that literally flopped, like you could take it and shake it and it would flop. So, you know, that was an amazing experience, and the fact that he just kind of hung out and chatted. And then, of course, what can we say about Mr. Unmarketing? He just blew the roof right off the place. So I think those things, and just looking at the schedule and seeing truly the best people in our field, the best, most innovative work being done, being presented, fantastic. Plus, there was a lot of bacon. And I really liked that, yeah.
I will say there was an enormous amount of
bacon.
I can't say I was complaining about that so much.
Yeah, there was a lot of bacon. I don't know if you found the bacon happy hour across the street. That was fantastic. So, you know, the chance to socialize was great.
I will say, and I suppose wasn't sort of part of the plan, but I really have to give a real thumbs up to the city of Buffalo, who did a really fantastic job as a host city.
Right?
I mean, Rochester is sort of a second home to me. I went to college and I lived outside, lived in Rochester for a couple of years, and I'd never really got into downtown Buffalo, and I was really, really impressed. So as a city, as a community, they really, and I think it was really fascinating that, I thought part of the way that it was just because it was a web conference that they really did the social media thing over the top,
right.
But they really supported us, which I thought was fantastic. So big thumbs up to Buffalo.
I'm right there with you. I think they did a fantastic job. You know, Buffalo as a city is really going through this really kind of fantastic renaissance, which is great to see. But I agree, the social media that they did, particularly the convention center and the visitors bureau, was just out of this world. One of my favorite stories from the conference. Keeping in mind, they have no idea if I'm an organizer or who I am. I'm just another person tweeting. There was apple pie one day at lunch.
Yes, there was indeed apple pie one day at lunch.
There was this incredible apple pie at lunch. And so I missed the apple pie. I was thinking, I know, it was horrifying, right? So this could have ruined my whole conference. So I was sad, and I went to the next session and said something along the lines of, I have a killer headache, and I blame the fact that I missed the apple pie. And the convention center tweeted me back within about 5 minutes and said, "We're really sorry to hear that. We've got your back." And I said, "Oh yeah, haha, whatever, that's fine." And they said, "No, really, we've got your back. Come down to the front desk and we'll be waiting for you when your session ends in 20 minutes. And so I said, "Sure." I walked down to the front desk and there was somebody waiting there with one of the assistant managers with this enormous piece of pie just standing there holding the pie, waiting for me to arrive. And I thought, wow, that's amazing customer service on so many levels. And if we could just get our own people and our own administrations to understand what a difference that makes on a personal level for people, I think it would just be a game changer for all of us.
Well, I think that's an interesting struggle that we deal with at the higher ed level, speaking of sort of the customer service aspect of things, is thinking of our students as clients, customers, pick the word you want to use, and how we interact with them electronically is increasingly very, very important.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the life's blood, right? I mean, we get so little face-to-face time with our customers now, with our students, with their parents, but we have the ability to reach and interact with them everywhere they might be and everywhere we might be. And so I think we need to take real advantage of that and start to really think about that interaction and how crucial it is to their experience from start to finish and beyond.
How do you strike that balance then between making it a marketing push and a sales push, and it being about creating a fit between students and the community on campus, or students and departments, or students and whoever?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, I think something to remember is the fact that just because it's sales doesn't necessarily mean that it's not authentic. As a matter of fact, I think it has to be authentic, and I think that's maybe what you're getting to a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we can think about ourselves, and I think we have to think about ourselves a little bit as businesses, as our students and their families, as our customers, as what we're doing in recruitment as sales. But I think when we say sales, it becomes a dirty word because we think of that stereotypical 1950s, 60s car salesman with the big thick tie, and I think that doesn't have to be the case. I think sales in this case means, really understanding and really connecting with your audience, with your customer, on a genuine level. Understand what drives them and offer them that information, offer them that experience. As real humans working at a place, as real humans trying to help other humans reach a goal. That tends to be the trick for my team, at least.
Yeah, I think it's funny you use the car reference. I spoke earlier today with a grad student who's in the higher ed program here at Stony Brook, and she was applying for an internship overseas as part of a sort of a study abroad kind of piece, and we were talking about what it is that we do here in the admissions office. And as admissions folks, I think folks who are external to what we do here on the enrollment end think of it as a sales job. And it's, we go out and we talk to students and we talk to parents about, why you should come to our school and why our programs are so great and what makes us special. But it's not, oh, hey, you got to buy this car. This car is perfect for you, even though it may not be. If I have a student who I'm talking with online, in person, whatever, who is interested in a program we don't have, or academically is not ready to make that jump into a research university, it's not my job at all to sell them on Stony Brook. It's my job to help them find that fit, whether it be here or wherever. And that's where that line between the marketing piece and the counseling piece becomes very, very important. And it's very easy to do if you're where they are. And I think it's important when you talk about the social media perspectives and why admissions folks and web folks do need to work together. Everything really does loop together.
It does, and it's kind of funny, Chris, because I've been thinking about this a lot recently, in particular, because I'm trying to redo some strategic pieces for the college, and the fact of the matter is that every single one of us is a salesperson. If you work at a college every minute of every day, you are representing the college in some way. You have to be. You are the embodiment of what that place and what that brand is. And I think that when you say admissions and web people really have to work together, I think admissions people are web people, and web people have to be admissions people. I think that external-facing websites, because here's the marketing communications person in me right here.
Yes, that's why you're here. So that's good. Go there.
It's all about the enrollment, and I think we have to necessarily then have internal tools and intranets and other resources for our current students and community for retention, because that's a huge piece of what we need to address as well. One is not more important than the other; both are critical, but that external-facing website, we all have to own all of it. If you don't, it can't just live in one tiny little area of the college. It's too big, and it is the face of your institution to probably the majority of people who are going to think about applying to your college. So if it is the face of, the web is the face of your institution, everybody has to own that.
So sort of as a follow-up to that, where does you can talk specifically about how your organization works there at MCC, but where does admissions fit into what you do on a practical day-to-day basis as you're building that web content and doing that organizational structure?
And what's interesting is that's evolving. I mean, that's part of where I'm coming from with this content piece is you had committees, and you had these web groups, and you'd have an enrollment or an admissions person, and you'd have a marketing person, and you'd have a tech or an IT person, and you'd meet periodically or weekly or bi-weekly, and you'd talk about what's happening, and then you'd go your merry ways. But more and more and more I'm finding, and I think this is great, I embrace it, that I am partnering on an almost daily basis at this point with enrollment to talk about strategy going forward, to talk about the tools we're using, but more importantly the messages we're sending, and how we can be most effective in reaching the college's goals and our audience's goals. So it's becoming a much tighter team feel now, for us at least, when it comes to admissions and enrollment, and I think it's very needed and very important.
So I want to talk a little bit about, switch gears a little bit and talk about the year to come for HighEdWeb. I know that there are a number of regional conferences that are coming around this spring. I'm going to pop out a couple of links to the regional conferences. You can follow me, by the way, on Twitter. My name is right there, C. Dorso, and I'm going to pop out the link to the HighEdWeb regional conferences. So if you want to address that a little bit, that would be fantastic.
Sure. I mean, the regional conferences, we started a few years ago, as everybody knows, hopefully by now, and we are incredibly excited about where they've grown. We started with 1 or 2 here or there, and they've really grown into a fantastic program. We have 4 coming next year in different areas of the country. We're going to be in Pittsburgh, in New England, in Michigan, and in the Southeast, anywhere from beginning April through June. And if you haven't been to a regional, these are fantastic experiences. They're usually held over the course of one business day. Sometimes half a day on one day, half a day on another. There's usually a couple tracks of great programming, and it's really a fantastic opportunity because they are an inexpensive and somewhat local to you, hopefully, depending on your region, way to get some great professional development in the spring, because then we have the big annual happening out west in October. So yeah, we're really excited about the regionals, and if you've ever attended a regional, if you've ever thought to yourself, oh, I'd really like to get more involved, we'll be putting out a call for the 2015 regionals in just a few months. So it's definitely worth thinking about.
What do you think is the biggest benefit for admissions folks to go to a web conference, a regional web conference?
I think it's a great way it's a great way to start to network with other people. You're going to get a lot of different area schools, probably within a tri-state region or what have you. A lot of other folks who probably do things that you do, or have been trying out different techniques or communication vehicles that you've been potentially thinking of. It's a great way to hear what other people are doing, to develop that network, and it's really just a good way to get exposed to what's happening in the web, period. I think we all think we know what's happening on other webs or as a web standard, but I think until you actually sit and see people talking about the work they're doing and start to understand where they're coming from, where they are, and what their goals are and what their strategies are to move forward, I think there's a lot of value in that. It's nice to just make friends, too, who are where you are.
Yes, very, very true. So what about the folks who, my colleagues here in the office who are not web people? Like, I actually have people in my office who are not on, for example, Facebook. What? I know, very strange. But like, what? How do I sell to? I mean, I don't have to sell it because I came back with like a stack of ideas this tall. But how do I, for someone for whom the piece is new or is not, that they're not, maybe they don't do the web stuff because it all runs through the communications office and they don't do it in-house. How do you make that call to say, yes, this is, there's value in this for me as an admissions person?
I think as an admissions person, one of the huge things you can start to learn at any of these conferences is less about the web work and more about where your students are. I think you can learn a lot about your audience. You can learn a lot about what kinds of experiences they're having, what kind of, how they're using information, what kinds of information from just a purely communication point of view that your audience wants and desires and needs to make their choice. I think that's a really crucial piece. I think the web is the tool we use to deliver it. But I think that there are universal truths that we all talk about every time we get together about our students and what they're like and what the research is telling us they're looking for and what they need to make the decisions we hope they make. I think you can get tons of that at any of these conferences, regardless and agnostic of how it's being delivered. And that's what we need to know, right?
Yes, very true. Plus pie and bacon.
Yes, and plus pie and bacon, and as Lori Packer from the University of Rochester noted on Twitter, something about a coin purse. If you haven't seen the Scott Stratton keynote, I highly recommend it. It puts it all in context.
That's right. I forgot to bring up my prop. So by the way, Scott had the wonderful gift for all of us. He provided his new book, QR Codes Kill Kittens, as a conference gift to all attendees. I can't speak highly enough of this book for anybody who is at all involved in the internet in any capacity to really think about what you're doing. We had a discussion about this very thing today from a faculty member who wanted to put a QR code on something, and we sort of had to talk about why that was not going to happen.
Yeah. It's a fantastic book. He's super smart and very funny. And if you get the chance, I highly recommend his work because I think it's really accessible. And I think that's a really important thing when we're talking about these things because I think people get intimidated when they see QR codes. It's either, ooh, shiny, or it's, oh, God, that's too technical, let's not do it. Or it's too technical, we should do it. Sometimes it's helped put it into context.
Well, I think the accessibility piece is really an important thing too, because and it sort of came up at the conference very early on, maybe even during the opening session, where it may have been you, it may have been one of the other presenters said, step outside your comfort zone a little bit, and even though you're not a technical person, go to a technical workshop, get a sense of it, because I think the fear about a web conference is that I don't code, I don't know cascading style sheets and HTML and Java and all this stuff. I don't know it. I don't do it. It's not part of my job description. So why do I need to know that? Why am I going to go and learn all of that? Because it seems so terrifying to someone who's non-techie. But you're right about knowing the language and being able to sort of at least meet halfway.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we all have to work together, right? As I said, we're all kind of one unit at this point. So even if I don't need to know everything about programming, nor do I necessarily expect to know everything about admissions and enrollment. I trust my team implicitly to be amazing at their jobs and to know everything they need to know about those things. I know a lot about communication, and that's what I bring to the table. But I want to understand where they're coming from. so that we can have these great conversations, so that I can appreciate what they're doing, and so that we can build these strategies together. So yeah, it's always good to at least get some basics about what the rest of your team is doing so that you appreciate each other, if nothing else.
Yeah, very, very true. So you mentioned HighEdWeb 14 out on the West Coast in Portland. I'm going to pop another link out there. And there it is. So, so why Portland?
Because it's awesome. Because it's
good enough. Thanks, everybody.
awesome.
Thanks for watching.
And we're done and finished. No, we are. I can't even tell you how excited about Portland we are. We have wanted, one of the commitments of HighEdWeb is to really reach out and bring great professional development to web professionals wherever they may be. And we started it a number of years ago when we were established in Rochester, and the first move was out to Missouri. And we've been kind of moving around the country since. We've been down south a bit with Austin. We've certainly been in the Midwest with Minneapolis. We've come back to the Northeast with Buffalo. And we've really been looking for an opportunity to go to the West Coast to work with, and do some great professional development out there. Portland is just a fantastic fit. It's a great location. It's easily accessible. It has fantastic culture that I think our community is really going to enjoy. The facilities we're going to be in are top-notch. And I think it's just going to be a great way for us to start our relationship with the West Coast a little more robustly. I'm thrilled about it.
Cool.
So, yeah.
So for somebody who is not currently involved in HighEdWeb, what is your recommendation for somebody who wants to get involved, who wants to do more?
Oh gosh, call me now. Operators are standing by.
Not right now. We're doing a web.
All right, like 20 minutes. Yeah, 20, 30 minutes. Yeah. No, we would love to have folks get more involved. We have a new volunteer committee that's looking at structuring opportunities for folks to get more involved because, we do the annual conference, which is Buffalo and Portland, and in 2015 we'll be in Milwaukee again, and that's our flagship. But there's a ton of other ways for folks to get involved. Sure, you can get involved with one of the conferences. You can get involved with one of the regional conferences. We have a number of subcommittees that have been forming. We have a technical committee. We have a new marketing communications committee. If anyone's interested in working, say, with me, hit me up because I would love it. We have just Link, which is fantastic. I don't know if everybody's familiar with Link, the online journal of HighEdWeb, but they do amazing work. If you were at Buffalo, those are the folks who were live tweeting and live blogging through the entire conference. They hit something like 80% of sessions, which is amazing. They also are the folks who designed, wrote, and published that beautiful, beautiful program that you all got. Yeah, I can see it in your background there.
I use that as a prop too.
That's the one, yeah. So that was done by the Link staff. So there's lots of opportunities to get involved as much or as little as you like. So if you are interested, feel free. I would love it if you tweet me. You're more than welcome to email. You can also look on our website. There's contact forms on there, and I encourage you to do so because I've said it before, and I'll say it again and again and again. HighEdWeb is its community. We exist. We are built by. We are created for higher education web professionals from all areas of every college and institution. It's all volunteer. We all do this because we love it and we're committed to it. So to have more volunteers come on board, there is always absolutely room. We would love it.
The website, if you are watching this, is highedweb.org. So very easy to go there and get information on all the conferences, past and present, and future, and regionals, and all that kind of stuff. And so that link is now out there, so you can get that that information about getting involved in the HighEdWeb Association. So, Colleen, any closing thoughts before we start to wrap up here about how admissions folks and web folks can be better acquainted as a team?
Well, I think that's the key word, right? The key word's team. We talk about this about the web a lot. We say the web needs to not be organized along silos. It needs to not be organized along administrative lines. And I'm going to challenge that and make us all think about taking that into our working lives as well. That has to go beyond the web, what you see actualized on the web. we have to break out of our administrative divisions when we're talking about the web. We are all a team. We don't work for admissions, we don't work for IT, we don't work for communications, we work for our colleges. And I think that that's a really important thing for us to internalize. Nobody owns any one thing, we all do. And so I think that we have to appreciate the strengths and the talents each of us brings. We have to understand that all of those talents are needed because the web and digital communications is immense. And we have to, you know, really pull together in that way. I know it sounds very simple and Pollyanna, but if we don't do it, no one's going to.
Yeah, well, you know, there's some joy in it sort of being Pollyanna a little bit, I think, because I think it can be that, and I think that's one of the nice things about the democracy of the web is that folks can come with ideas, and even the smallest piece or the most innocuous Twitter feed that one of your clubs and organizations has could be bringing you really fantastic content that you may not have otherwise created yourself.
Or known about.
Well, yeah, or even known about.
I mean, I learn all the time, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm finding things that feels like every day I'm discovering a new club feed or just a student. I'm meeting with a student, just 2 students tomorrow and Thursday, who I've discovered over the last couple of months just on Twitter. I want to put in a plug for Twitter. I mean, obviously it's a web show, so a lot of the folks who are watching this now in the future are likely Twitter folks. But Twitter's a fantastic way to really make those connections with the folks in and around the HighEdWeb community, because I was very intimidated going into the conference in Buffalo, trying to, you know, to meet all of these Twitter celebrities for the first time, who are wonderfully down-to-earth people and much larger than their little tiny square icons would lead you to believe. But they're really fantastic folks, and you really just want to build up that communication and just open the doors because it's fantastic.
Yeah, I would agree. The back channel we've got is active all year round. I mean, it certainly amps up for the conference.
To say the least, yeah.
I was going to say we nationally trended, what, 4 times, I think,
like
we were there. Yeah. But yeah, it's an incredibly fantastic, giving, generous community, wonderful people from so many disciplines, and they're always talking, they're always communicating. Twitter is probably the primary, but they're on Facebook as well, and in other venues too. So don't be afraid to reach out, because if you want to do great work, if you want to build good web stuff, these are the folks for you.
Very, very true. So, so with that, we're going to start to wrap up here on Admissions Live on Tuesday night. Once again, want to thank our sponsors. I want to thank M. Stoner, and I want to thank Zinch, and I want to thank Welcome to College, and I want to thank, of course, Colleen, Berrett, and Berrett for joining me on the show. You can tweet her at COLB CallB. You can tweet me at CDorso. And you can tweet HighEdWeb at HighEdWeb, and you can visit them at highedweb.org. As always, more shows from Admissions Pros on the Admissions Live archive located at higheredlive.com. Thanks to everyone who tuned in live and everybody who is watching this in the office, hopefully on Wednesday afternoon or Wednesday morning after a wonderful evening. And we will see you all next week when Ashley Budd, your regular host, will be back to help you all through your Tuesday evening admissions webcast. So thank you again to Colleen. Thanks to our sponsors, and we will see you all next week. Once again, 7 p.m. Eastern here on Admissions Live.
Thanks.